Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, July 24th, 2025. So we start off with the aftermath of Tate and Sophia's drama, where Brady is recapping the events with Marlena and Belle. And Belle and Marlena are really surprised that it happened so suddenly and that the baby's adopted already. So Brady's just saying that he's worried about how it's affecting his son because he really didn't have any much involvement in how the adoption took place, and that he didn't get to see the baby. But he tells Marlena and Belle that the baby is in a great environment and all of that. So Marlena worries about how it's affecting both parents and all of that involved. But I'm saying, Brady, where was that energy on yesterday's episode when you should have been that, yes, you're trying to be unemotional and trying to be the voice of reason, but at the same time, where was that energy where you were supposed to be standing up for Tate and to pick nonsense out of sense out of nonsense? Because at the end of the day, like, that picture was doctored. Like, even Stevie Wonder could have seen that, the baby in that picture was fake. The picture was fake. But again, anyways, moving on, Rachel comes in and she's ready for camp, and Brady said she's gonna go over to the Mirror Mansion to I guess get some goggles because she misplaced it, teaching her responsibility, right? So she doesn't want to go over there because again, she has PTSD from the whole shooting incident, and then today's the day of the trial with Johnny. So, she's not really so excited to go over there, but it is what it is, right? So Paulina and Abe, they're at, the pub, they're having breakfast, but Paulina can't really focus on her breakfast because, she's worried about how the trial is going to play out and that she has to be a witness to testify against Johnny. And Johnny, it's personal because Johnny is her son-in-law, and then she's worried about how it's affecting Chanel. They've been through so much already, and then her daughter is also suspect. So, Abe is just trying to be the voice of reason and give her, some positive energy and say that it's going to work out. The evidence is circumstantial at best. EJ is going to do his best to defend his son and get him out of these charges. He also tells Paulina that, he was on the phone with Theo earlier, and he tells Paulina that, Theo just went through a breakup with Claire. He doesn't tell him the details, but it was definitely a hard one for him. And she said, it can be definitely be rough, and hopefully he will heal and time will heal all of it, and that he will find a love that's deserving and everything like that, like what they have, right? So anyways, they're getting ready to go to the trial, but Paulina tells Abe, like, she asks Abe, like, look, given your experience on the police force for all these years, like, what do you think is going to be the outcome? So he said, look, like, it definitely points to Johnny being the person that is guilty for his father's shooting. But again, evidence is circumstantial, so he believes that, Johnny will be exonerated, right? So EJ comes over and he's there to see Marlena because Marlena is going to hypnotize him to see if he can remember who actually pulled the trigger. So he thanks Marlena, but again, Marlena makes it clear that, look, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it to exonerate Johnny, to hopefully help his case. We really want to know who is really behind your shooting. So he said, either way, the ultimate goal is to help Johnny, so I'm down for it. So Marlena leaves at some point, and Belle talks to him about the trial and asking him if he's ready to represent his son. So he said, yeah. And then he talks about the whole thing of them not having no PDA or doing a relationship while this is going on. So she tells him again that, look, it is unethical, and the judge or jury doesn't need to see us frolicking around while this is going on. It's best if we keep our distance. So he's saying that, look, can't we meet up in a room somewhere? So she said, no, I don't think that's a good idea, right? I'm prosecuting, my nephew. You are defending your son. It's already looking weird already. And he's saying, look, it's innovative. So she said, yeah, I mean, it's not looking like that to the public. So we have to maintain a professional, face about it. So he said, okay, so I guess we'll take any opportunity to, do any romantic gestures. So he starts kissing her, and then Marlena comes in and it's all awkward, and Belle says she has to leave to go to the trial or the courthouse because Marlena says she's ready, right? So it was a little awkward, but anyways, moving on. she does sit him down for the session. She asks him to close his eyes and breathe. Think about the day of the shooting, the night of the shooting, what happened, take him back. So he definitely cannot remember what's going on. It's still foggy to him. He can't seem to remember. And he's getting frustrated because he wants to help his son beat these charges, and he still can't remember who was behind pulling the trigger, right? So Marlene said it's gonna take some time, so she asked him to come for another session. So he said, yeah, he's open to it, but he has to go to the courthouse to represent his son. So speaking of his son, Johnny is frantic. He is having problem tying his own tie. Again, he didn't get much sleep because again he's wondering or worried about how he's going to look today on today's trial, day one of the trial. And Chanel says, look, it's circumstantial evidence at best, and your dad is going to do a great job to represent you and get you off these charges. But Johnny said maybe that's not going to be enough. I mean, I did say I wanted to kill him. I went around town even when people told me that I shouldn't be doing that. I still said I wished him dead and all of that. So Chanel said, look, you were angry about what he did to your mother. It was understandable, but you didn't end up pulling the trigger. And he said, like, at the end of the day, like, is that, much for the jury to accept? Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to be prosecuted by my own aunt. And then, who knows, between that and opening statement, closing statement, who's to tell if I won't be guilty? And I'm looking at least, I don't know if he said 18 or 80 years, but he's worried about the possible outcome. And Chanel said, I looked it up as well, but let's try to be positive. If you come off these charges, I'm next as a suspect. Jada already told me not to leave town, and I'm worried about what that's gonna be. So Johnny said, look, if you have to go down for this, I am going to take the rap for you. So she's like, you and my mom had the same thing in common. They said, look, we have this in common, that we love you. We're going to support you. We're going to hold you down. Right. So anyways, they're heading to the trial, and they're getting supported by, Paulina on the outside. They can't really come in together because Paulina is a witness. So, they give him the best of luck today's trial, right? So Brady and Rachel make it over to the mansion, and Gwen is already there with her fleet of luggage ready to move in. Seems as if there's no staff as usual there to help her. So she sees Brady and Rachel, and she said, it's been a while. How are you doing? So Rachel's giving her pure attitude. I don't know why. What did Gwen actually do to her? So she said that your mom didn't tell you that I'm moving in here. So she said, no, I haven't been over here. So she's like, where have you been? So she's like, over my father's house, duh. So she was just giving her a straight attitude, and I'm saying, really, little Rachel. Anyways, Brady said, go and get your goggles, I'll be here. So he said he's surprised that EJ is letting her stay in there. So she said, given what's going on with EJ and his son, I don't think he will even care to see if I moved in. Again, I'm a demurrer as well, so I'm entitled to come in here. And I'm saying, Gwen, not because you're married to a quote unquote one Loishna Demira doesn't mean that you should move in. And I don't know why EJ, he didn't open up his mouth to tell her, no, you can't move in here, because he has the title to the house. How is it that anybody say they can move in? Like, it's, I don't even know what you call that. Like, it's like the Kyrgyz mansion. Everybody, they just want to move in because they feel like they have some entitlement. They treat it like it's one of them cheap inns, or where you come in and you go in and you come in and you go in. I don't know the right name for it right now, excuse me, but like that's how it's being treated as, right? So anyways, she talks to Rachel about their rematch at chess, and they look forward to that and everything. And she leaves to go get the rest of her luggage. So Brady says to her, Cook has some cookies for her. So she said no, she just want to leave. She doesn't want to be around the house at any time because, again, it brings up too much bad memories for her. At some point, he brings her home and he said, you know what? Instead of going to camp, let's go to a movie. How about that? So she's excited to go, right? Because he wants to take her mind off of what's going on presently. So anyways, Belle calls Brady while at the courthouse because Marlena comes in with Abe and Marlena suddenly collapses. So she tells Brady what's going on, and nobody knows what happened to Marlena, why she collapsed. Earlier EJ comes in because Bella's wondering like where is he now? The trial's about to start. And the jurors are coming in, and she asks him, hey, did you remember anything? So he said no. And maybe because I didn't remember, Johnny is probably the one who actually pulled the trigger. So right now I'm just nervous as to how this is gonna go, right? But yes, another point, Gwen did go back to seal him in. She got the rest of her luggage, and she saying that, am I forgetting anything? So she looks in the safe because remember she put the necklace in there, so the necklace is gone. So I don't know if Doug snuck in and took it last minute. I don't know, but look, Karma is Gwen's new best friend. That's all I'm gonna say. But that is it, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. I will see you guys tomorrow.